In this video, we're going to talk about what it takes to build a business while you're in your 40s or at any age. Now, it's no easy task to build a business. There's a lot of components, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's a challenge. And most of the time, people like me have built businesses while working a regular 9 to 5. This puts a lot of strain on the finances, puts a lot of stress on the family life. It puts a lot of stress on the business life. Because what happens is when you build a new business, it's going to suck up your time. It's like a baby. It's a parasite. You have to keep feeding it. It doesn't feed you. So there's going to be a lot of hiccups, a lot of challenges, a lot of issues that need to be resolved. And you need to figure out how quickly and how fast you could get around those challenges so you can maintain, bring in income, revenue, and staying profitable so you could take care of your cost of goods, pay for your staff, and live a lifestyle that's actually great to how you want to live. So let's just get into it. So my name is Leo. I've been in healthcare for the past 17 years as a staff member, as a manager, and I got fed up with it. It's a grind, and you got to choose what grind you want. You want to be in a grind where you're slave to someone else. You got to ask for PTO. You got to ask for time off when you're sick. You can't go on vacation, and you can't do the things you want unless you report it to your senior management. Now, this was the case for me. Luckily, I'm no longer in that position. I feel great now because I feel like there's a lot of weight off my back because now I'm not reporting to who I need to report to. But on the flip side, now everything's all on my own back. Everything I'm choosing to do is in my own hands. And it can be very stressful. It could cause a lot of anxiety, but it's okay. If you're okay with that type of stress, then definitely you'll thrive. Now, if you don't think you could thrive in that type of chaos, then it might be better to work in a business for someone else, learn those skills, and then go into business by yourself. But luckily for me, I had those 17 years where I was able to take out all those skill sets, translate them into business. All that experience that I gained, I was able to use them to my advantage and leverage the way I wanted to. And so that allowed me in the 17 years leading people, doing corrective actions, project management, creating systems, looking at numbers, looking at spreadsheets and figure out what worked, what didn't work, and kind of use those similar strategies in the business that I have now. So one of the businesses is called Hospi. It's a real estate investment fund. We've purchased close to 500 rentals in about 3 years of operating. I'm one of the co-founders. Now on the flip side, one of the other businesses I am a part of is a vending machine company. And in 2 years, that company has 200 locations and we're revenuing close to 100,000 per month at this moment. And we're not looking at slowing down. We're going to speed it up even more. And there's several components in this business that allowed us to grow it so quickly. And I'm going to talk about them right now. In terms of my personal experience being as a pharmacy leader, I started from the bottom. I started when I was 22 years old, just freshly out of school in 2008/2009. It was difficult to get a job. No one was hiring. It was in the midst of the Great Recession. So what I do when I was applying for jobs, I actually was calling people, following up. I got this particular warehouse job by walking in, a cold walk-in, wearing a suit, introduced myself to the ownership. I was hired on the spot. Lesson 1 is you got to take action. Don't wait for something to be given to you. You got to go out and take it for yourself. If you want it, go get it. So if you're building a business, go do it. Don't put it off tomorrow. In the business world, there's no such thing as tomorrow. There's only today. And what you do today determines how easy tomorrow gets. So act like there's no tomorrow and do as much as you can today. It is a grind. It's going to be a hustle. It's going to take grit. There's going to be ups and downs, and you got to go through it. After that first position, I was able to build myself. I was able to learn from my senior leadership, my mentors. I started off as just a warehouse guy, packing medications to get delivered to patients in hospitals. A few months later, I was actually allowed to go take a test. I took the test to get certified and registered as a pharmacy technician. That's when I actually increased my income again. I got a 30% raise, and then I was able to build more skills. Not only was I doing pharmacy work, making the meds, but I was helping out with the warehouse. I redesigned the warehouse twice. As we kept expanding, the pharmacy needed new warehouses. I was the one that helped plan the planograms for the doubling in size of a warehouse. No easy task. But these experiences allowed me to grow. And that led me to actually working at a hospital afterwards. In that hospital, in less than a year, I was promoted as a supervisor. Being a supervisor, I had 45 direct reports at the moment. In the next year and a half, I hired another 35 more. Essentially, I doubled the staff in a year and a half, 80 techs, 1,000 shifts, 24/7 schedule. It was the hardest thing I've ever done because at the same time, our pharmacy services at the hospital were expanded. We went from 3 pharmacies to 8. It took a lot of foresight, planning to figure out how we were going to schedule staff to work and operate without losing service to our patients. The key in business, as you grow, you want to maintain your quality of service and you don't want quality to degrade. Being mindful of how you're going to grow, when you're going to grow, what areas you're going to grow is going to be very important because you don't want to lose that reputation once you've built one. So you have to protect it at all costs. So any move you make while you're growing, you got to be very methodical and strategic about it. So a lot of these skills that I did learn, I started moving them into my businesses, whether it was the real estate or the vending machines. I took my time building those companies, being a part of the teams. And as things started to shift, it was time for me to make the move, make the transition. So I got hurt and then I just leveraged that time. I used that time to work on the businesses. I couldn't perform my duties at work, so I was off. Now, granted, it's not a workers' comp issue because I wasn't getting paid from the businesses anyway. Because the type of person I am, I'm not looking for the instant income, the instant cash flow. I'm looking for that big bag equity check at the end of the day. It wasn't double dipping. And at the same time, it wasn't like I was using what I was hurt for. I got hurt with my hands. So most of the time in these other businesses, all I was doing is just talking to people, calling people. It had nothing to do with using my hands on a mechanical aspect. It did give me an opportunity to have more time. It gave me a buffer to actually go help build these businesses. And so there's 3 fundamentals in building a business. You got to get them right because if one of them falls apart, they all fall apart. It's a tripod and they work together. It's a feedback loop of information and data and metrics so you can make the proper decisions in your business. Now, the first one is very critical. It's finances. You have to have your budget correct. If you don't understand money, then you don't deserve money. If you can't control your budget, your business will go down the drain. And that's just a given. I've seen it so many times. I've actually done it in some of my previous businesses where I was too young. In my 20s, I had a couple other business ventures. Some were doing well, some weren't. But it all came down to accounting and having a proper budget. Having a proper budget for staff, proper budget for cost of goods, having a budget for taxes and anticipating that, or like marketing and sales. Everything is all interrelated and you need to know how much you could allocate for each one. There's a finite of income that comes in. And so if you can't get a hold on how to spend it wisely or forecast and protect the money, your business will get wiped out really quick. And that's why I always say business finances are like a pie, or they are like pies. And even when we're looking at spreadsheets from our CFOs and things like that, they come in pie graphs because there's a slice for every division of that business or every aspect of that business. And so if you see one pie way too big and other pies are way too small, that's a feedback loop to let you know that you may be putting too much into one area. How's it look if you're handing out pies to different departments, all right? Or different managers and leaders in your business? If you're giving one pie all the resources, but other pies no resources. I've had this experience myself. Being a tech leader, I never had any resources for my job. Other managers would get assistants, supervisors, leads. I never got that. Other managers would get all the resources that they need to go build what they wanted, but yet there was very minimal resources allocated to me. But as soon as I leave, they hired 4 people. That's not fair. That was taking advantage of me in this situation. So I learned just by observing that situation that budgets are pies. And depending how the money moves, you can anticipate how the money needs to be spent, where the support is needed. And so finances are critical because they guide you in everything you want to do. in the future. So don't take it as like, oh, we made this money, I'm gonna go flip it right quick. Cause definitely not. That's a one way straight to burning out and crashing the business. You got to be able to project, forecast, and have future reserves, have buffers. That way you keep the business sustainable, because when you're starting a business and you're getting sales and you have good traction, there's going to be some down months, and you got to be able to protect against that, right? Because even though you might have not the most sales, you're going to need to still be able to anticipate having a specific revenue. For example, some of the vending machine companies that we have are placed in schools. Now, schools are a great source of income for vending machines. The problem is they're closed during December for the holidays, and they're closed during the summer. So we take a zero income during those months. Now imagine you have 5 of those schools do that at the same time. It makes our summers a little bit lighter. So that's why I say know who you're getting your sales from, and then try to balance it out with other ones that may be stronger in the summer, so we could have a good average. And that's why finances are critical, because if you skew too much onto one side, you leave yourself vulnerable to take hits in other areas, right? You're only as strong as your weakest link. So your finances tell you exactly where your weakest link is, and then you build that up. Now, the second one is operational systems. Having great operational systems are the backbone, the spine of any business. If you don't have systems, you don't have a business. The whole purpose of business is to provide services and products directly to the clients. And systems and processes are the way we're able to do that. That's how we charge. The systems is actually what get us paid. It's the actual work. Now, the better your system is, the more efficient it becomes, the faster you could service your clients, the more you could charge, and the more clients you could take on. If the system's good, then you built in room to take more people, take more clients. So you got to get your systems down, and you got to follow them pretty strictly. Now, if a system needs to be adjusted, you should have a process improvement plan, a system of how you're going to evaluate a system or a procedure and then actually adjust it accordingly and test it out. You don't want to just do a hard stop change because it screws up everyone else. If you have a business and you have staff, some of the staff are going to be resistant to the change, or they can't comprehend the change. They won't be able to adapt as quickly. So you got to do it incrementally in stages. And that's just a way to buffer your staff, get them ready for the change. You don't get them all flustered and anxious and stressed out. Because as a leader and a business owner, you got to point the direction for your team and prepare them for it, and then pull them across to it. So one example is the vending machine company. It's all based on systems. Every day we have a route to drive and deliver the snacks and the food and the drinks. We're not just selling the snacks and the drinks. We're providing a convenience. When someone has our vending machine at their location, staff don't have to leave. Apartment residents, they don't have to leave. They don't have to drive down to the store, to the nearest convenience store, and get their Gatorade or their energy drink for after their workout, or even a pack of condoms, Like, we provide services that people want to use. So we're always testing, trying to figure out what we could give them that they would like. On another note, in my real estate investment firm, we offer healthcare professionals the opportunity to invest in real estate without leaving their jobs, without having to run the day-to-day operations. What we do in that real estate firm is we created a structure where we get multiple medical professionals to pull all of our monies together. And then myself and my team will go purchase a property, run the day-to-day operations. And then we give the investors who helped out or put their money into us, we give them quarterly reports, we give them a portion of the cash flow, and we give them a portion of the equity when we sell. So they're doubling their money without having to do anything. It's a convenience factor then. Because one of the problems with some of these medical professionals is they make too much money and they don't know where to put it. Now, when they make too much money, they're paying a lot of taxes. And one of the best things that we offer is the ability to invest and get a tax deduction from buying real estate. It's called bonus depreciation. And even in your business, you're going to get some depreciation factors if you have hard, tangible assets. So it's a good thing to actually take a look at that if you get a chance. But operational systems are like the engine of your business. You don't have a business if you don't have those systems. Like I said, you need to be able to deliver from The time you get a client to the end result, the system is the bridge that gets them to where they want. It's the system that gets them from their pain point to the resolution of their problem. Now, the third component is probably the most important one. This is what makes or breaks a lot of companies, whether they're new, they're considered startup, or they're even big. And that's acquisitions, lead generation, sales. This is the most important thing that actually fuels everything. Sales is important because you need new income. Without getting new clients, your business won't be sustainable. It'll just be stagnant. In business, if you're not growing, you're dying. So you need to keep getting new clients. Without a sales process of getting contacts, identifying prospects, making the outreach, whether you're cold calling, you're emailing, you're doing a cold walk-in like we do, it's important to get these sales, these new clients, because if you deliver, you get more referrals from them. If you don't deliver, you break your business. Now, sales is the key that I tell everyone to actually fix any problem in business. If you don't have enough money, go close a couple more clients. Your systems are breaking down and you don't have the right components in the system, generate revenue. It gives you a buffer as you try to fix those. Sales is the most important thing because you need to be able to anticipate what's coming next to you. And proper anticipation of getting new clients is not hard, but it's not easy. One of the things we've done is create a system of we scrape the lead off Google, and then we put it into our CRM, which is a customer retention, customer management platform, where we send emails and do our cold calls and identify who would be a good fit. So we have a system of that. We call them and then we send them an email later that day. Then we'll follow up 3 days later with another call to confirm that they received our email and then ask for the referral to go talk to the decision maker. Now, we've done this, and our goal right now and the metric that we've averaged out is placing about 10 to 15 machines every month at any locations, whether it's logistics, apartment complex, schools. Our goal is to continue that growth. Scaling is difficult. Lead generation is difficult if someone doesn't want to do it. But lead generation and sales is probably the one best thing any business can do, because not only on the operational side, it covers any expenses, it's going to show up in the finances. And so if you have proper budgets and your pie's too small, then more sales makes the pie grow bigger. And any part of the budget that's too big will actually get smaller as you bring in more sales, because now you could allocate more resources to other areas. Operations is the engine, and leads, sales, that's the fuel. Pretty much our goal on that first cold call is to figure out as much information. That way it prepares our team to go cold in later on, because our conversion rate for sales at the moment is not the best. Now, on a cold call, it's garbage. It's less than 1%. But on a cold walk-in, we're above 90%. So if we're able to set an appointment, we pretty much consider them guaranteed. Or if we cold walk in, we know we could guarantee that we're going to close them. So it's a feedback loop that we're looking at, is how do we make the system a lot better in what we're doing in the sales side? How can we make this more efficient? Because the sales will bring more money, and the more money will keep everyone fed. It'll keep our whole team taken care of, whether it's paying salary, having a job for the long term, having insurance and benefits. Those are all things that we need to account for, especially as like taxes increase. And we're in California, and that's where our company is based out of. So as taxes continue to increase, we need more sales to offset that. So sales fixes all problems. It's the fuel to any business. And anytime you feel like you're in a jam, just start hitting the calls, getting new clients, getting to places where you need to, networking. New sales is going to solve everything. Now, how do you integrate all these? All three of them are interrelated together. Finances is literally the GPS of the business. The reason why is because we get all the data in one location, and that kind of creates the guide to what we're doing right now and what we need to double down on, right? For example, we have 2 warehouses for our vending machines, one in Santa Cruz, one in the Bay. Santa Cruz is growing like crazy right now. So what we do when we see that on our financial side, we had a discussion as a team because they need more operational support. So I hired a new staff member for them that allowed them to start building the absorption of new business. I doubled down and assigned our sales team to focus on that Santa Cruz area and just target all those locations because we're getting a higher close rate for the meantime. What'd that do? We're closing 4 to 5 new locations every week. And so when you see the data, you could tie in everything together to point the direction. And then your operational engine says, okay, let's do that. Let's go. So the business starts moving in that direction. And then on the lead side and the sales sides, we see that there's a lot of opportunity there because we're getting a bunch of yeses. Okay, I'm going to add more fuel to that area. Let's go. Start that fire and let's go. And so we've been growing really, really quick in that area. Now, part of it is we don't want to just leave out our Bay side because that's the team that I help run. But for the momentary, let's bring up the revenue on the one area side while we're stabilized in the Bay. And so now as we come back and pull back from Santa Cruz, we're starting to double down and build up our Bay Area division, get more locations, set up more machines, stabilize our staff. It's a very integral part. You need all three: finances and budgeting, the operational systems, and the sales side to be cohesive. You can't have one without the other. If one of them is off, everything else falls apart. If your operational system is garbage, when you're bringing on new clients, you can't absorb them. The business collapses because your quality of service becomes shit. And you're going to see it on the financial side. And then on the flip side, if your lead generation process is garbage, you're going to end up being over budget on payroll and cost of goods, right? The reason being is because now you've anticipated what's growth, but you're not growing. You're going to also see that on the financial side. Now, if the finances are off, then what's going to happen is either operations or sales side will not have the resources they have to do their job. It still crumbles and it becomes a domino effect if one of those three fall apart. So it's important to have them all integrated together and make sure everyone on that team who's assigned to actually run the team together. If you're doing a solopreneurship, you got to have those three things allocated. Devote time to each of those three and separate them out. Now, like me, I'm fortunate enough to have business partners where each of us take different roles and we support each other. And we talk about it. We have meetings and we try to figure out how we're going to do this thing. But if you're building a business and you're solo from ground up, you need to have these three fundamentals of business down. From there, you could always add on those additional tactics you may see in other videos. If you don't have the three fundamentals and you're trying to build tall, you'll actually collapse back down because you didn't build the proper foundation. Whereas my team, we understand those are the three foundations of our business. And as long as we build those properly, we could go wide and high fast. So with that, if you thought this was a great video, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later. Be easy.